guys, it's Henning's drum programming course. Hey everybody, how's it going? So we've got a special guest on the show today, and I say special because he's very special indeed. Yeah, special. Anyway, you guys know him. You guys tolerate him. He's Henning Pauly from the HP42 show. How's it going, dude? How the hell are you?
The sentence is, you guys know him, you guys love him. Want to try that again? Want to try that again? Come on. I'm fine.
It's wonderful to see you, man. How are things in Germany? How are you holding up?
I don't even know if we're locked down at the moment. I just stay at home and make videos.
So your life has not changed one iota.
It hasn't changed in any way. And then around Christmas, we talked, and I got all of a sudden had some time because 12 guitars didn't show up, and I used that time, creatively.
Yes. Yeah, that was really something. So yeah, the big news here is this all came out of a joke between Henning and myself. Henning's like, I want to see you do a video where you're promoting something, programming drums, and I'm like, okay, well, make that course and I'll promote it. So here we are 4 months later, and guess what? Hey guys, it's Henning's drum programming course.
Well, the idea was, you said, I want to do my own courses. I'm doing a platform, and I'm doing this and this and this. And I always, it was on my bucket list for years, wanted to do a drum programming course because there isn't anything on the market. And also, I know what I'm doing. So I wanted to do this. And then you said you want to sell a course. I'm like, well, it was more trolling you. It's like, well, if you want to make money, you're going to have to say drum programming is a good thing, and Henning did a great job, and go and do it. And it was really more to make you look stupid. That was why I spent 3 weeks here every day, 12 hours a day, doing this course. And I hope it's working.
Here's the thing, man. You didn't have to sit there for 3 weeks, 12 hours a day to do the course. You could have just sent me one of your shirts, and I would have put that on and looked stupid.
I gave you one of my shirts, and you never put it on. Remember Gear Street 1? You never put it on.
That's true. Okay, yeah, that is true, because that just looked like scabs.
That's the most horrible shirt in history.
Yeah, well, until today.
Come on, this is cute. It's on the box. It's on the box of the course. Come on.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, yeah, so that's the deal. This all kind of came out as a bit of a joke kind of thing. It's like, oh yeah, I'd like to see you do this. And I'm like, okay, well, yeah, whatever. Okay, so this is called The Complete Guide to Drum Programming. And correct me if I'm wrong, the whole idea behind this is to program drums and make them sound more human.
Yes, it's realistic drum programming. I cover a little bit of electronic stuff if you want to supplement your realistic sounds, or even your recorded drums with some electronic stuff. If you know how to do realistic drum programming, meaning making it sound human and dynamically correct and all that, then doing electronic drum programming is a piece of cake, because then you just forget about dynamics. You forget about a lot of the stuff that makes it real, and maybe you even forget about some of the quantization and humanization. Teaching electronic is not necessary if you know the other. So I've been doing this for a long time, and doing drum programming because, as a teenager sitting at home working on music, writing songs, writing riffs, even though I was in a band and I had a drummer, I had to somehow get something recorded to give to the drummer. And so that's how it started. And then we did our first album. Back in the day, we did that on 4-track tape. And
I remember those days.
Yeah, we had no way of actually recording a drum set. I'm not most certainly not with our knowledge and with the tracks. And back in the day, I had an Atari ST.
Oh yeah.
Monochrome monitor, and I sat there with our drummer for days and days and days, putting little dots on the screen, because that sequencer back in the day, which I talk about in the course, already had a drum editor in it. It was the first Steinberg sequencer. And so he taught me the basic steps of what to do and what a drummer does. And it went from there, and I just kept watching drummers, talking to drummers, learning from drummers, and then trying it out. It's a long process. The course can't substitute that process, but it can get you started. You still have to do the learning.
Okay, that's great, but can you show us exactly what you mean?
Okay, well, the first half of the course is covering a lot of technical stuff, because as you said when we talked about the course, what software are you going to use? And I used a lot of BFD back in the day. And you say, well, superior drummer and get good drums is what people use. So I went out and I got most of the commonly used programs, and I'm actually covering, I think, 7 or 8 different ones, really covering ins and outs and all the technical stuff, and then how to mix it. So the first half is all the technical stuff, and we'll show you some clips of that. Output, which is probably in this left pane right there. Shank tip, shank tip, shank tip. And then 3 mono. And remember, I'm using ASYXD. Look down here, mono, stereo. So I'm calling up my revision E1176. See in the corner, I'm doing D, which is like 15, velocity of 15. Then if you go to model, there's damping, which is very important sometimes. It's a little bit long. See, doing this, what I'm doing right now, adjusting the volume. You can, of course, do down here. And now I'm defining which ones it's actually taking. Okay, so I'm going to solo this. If you only had this, it would sound horrible. It would almost sound artificial. So you do need this to get a good sound. That's where it's poppig, as we say in German. Very boxy. One of my go-to EQs. And I do the following. It adds additional harmonics, I guess, in the higher frequency range.
Okay, so that's the tech stuff. What about how to program this stuff and make it sound human? Can we see something about that?
Absolutely. What you're going to see is what I'm very proud of. I didn't just want to have me in the corner and the dry, computer screen. I wanted you to, if you don't know about this stuff, have a relationship of what it is on the drum kit. What is a hi-hat and how does it move and where does the drummer hit? So I invited my good friend Henk, and he actually sits on the drum kit, and for all the programming stuff, you see it done on a drum kit, and we talk about what works and what doesn't. And here's a clip of, some of those lessons. So there isn't a fully mic'd kit. That would go way too far, and I'm lazy. That's the crash we'll be using. There's a beautiful hi-hat, and we even have a hi-hat camera. Do that again. So that should allow us to actually see lots of detail on that. We have 2 toms, let's call it a rack tom and a floor tom. Right here. I want to go to 16th. Bam, I'm on 16th. Here.
That you let the stick somehow bounce back from the finger, or you control it a little bit by your fingers.
You mean like this?
Right.
What is this? Well, 664. What's 664? Could that be 3? Let's quickly talk about 8th note swing.
But listening to that beat, the first rough that you programmed sounded somehow unnatural. That would be the fill.
What did you actually do with the toms there?
I tripled them.
I keep my quarter notes happening at the bottom. If I go and do this, it's not easy to do this.
All right, fantastic. So what you're saying is I can grab this course and even I can sit down here, maybe learn how to program a couple things and use it on my show instead of having to, farm out for a drummer every single time, which I'm sure a few of you guys would like to see. I get it. Most people aren't recording real drummers at home. There's a certain expense and expertise required in that. The big thing for me anyway has always been in the programming end of things. It's like I can usually spot program drums from a mile away because most guys just kind of 127 everything and leave it at that and don't put any of the nuance in. That's essentially what you're showing us here.
Exactly. When it goes into metal drumming or heavier drumming, you can even get away, not really, but you can almost get away with 127, which means, everything is as loud as possible. But it's not perfect. But as soon as you get into other styles, like singer-songwriter material or funk or anything, a blues, it's impossible to make it sound realistic by just banging the crap out of the kit. That doesn't work.
Sure, fair enough. I'd even argue about the metal thing as well. You'd be surprised how many metal drummers, I work with who do a lot of ghosting and whatnot. And, you need to learn how to be able to program that. And all those little subtle bits are what add up to making it that much more realistic.
There's a whole lesson just on ghost notes. There's a whole lesson just on double bass. So there is a heavy lesson in there. And actually talking about 127, if you want to do blast beats, you shouldn't do 127. Because
you definitely should not.
Because at the speeds that a drummer plays the double bass and the snare, you can't actually get a big hit on the snare at those speeds. So in that lesson, I'm showing pull everything back because realistically, that's will sound more realistic.
Oh, so, you're absolutely right. Like I remember going to see a couple of bands I'd work with, and every time the drummer would blast beat, you'd be listening to the band, everything would sound great. Then they do a blast beat, and the snare would just vanish. You know what I mean? It's like it was there, but it wasn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, and that's one thing. It's so easy to pick out when something isn't programmed correctly is when the blast beat is just as loud as the rest of the snare. It's like drummers just don't play like that.
Yeah, I'm teaching a lot of, you have to think from the drummer perspective, what can they realistically do? Left hand, right hand. I teach what a paradiddle is, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, right, blah, 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 and so on.
Sweet.
And what, and what flams are. We have, again, a whole lesson just on ghost notes. There's a whole lesson on...
you can teach some drummers what flams are as well. I don't know how many times I've been doing sessions in here working with a live drummer like, hey, can you do a flam there? They're like, what's that?
And then the big question when you program a flam, and the drummer has to think about it, when both sticks hit the snare or whatever, but not at the same time, which one is louder?
Yeah,
as a drum programmer, you have to think about that because if both are the same volume, it might not sound 100% correct.
That's a really good point, man. Yeah, and exactly. This is why this is an important course because you go over that exact kind of stuff. It's like same thing with double kick. You could program it, so one foot is a little heavier than the other. Yeah, because a lot of drummers will do that.
And you kind of have to. So the lead foot should be a little bit louder. And then actually when you do it perfect in 16th, it's not great. You have to do a little bit of randomization. And I show all that. What else do we show? There's a whole thing on quantization and groove quantization. So what do you move around a little bit? That also goes into like a boogie and a swing feel because that is moving things a little bit later.
Oh, amazing.
For the prog people, I have a whole thing on odd time. So how to make a 7/8 or a 9/8 sound more straight. Or sound more odd. And then I go into something that's a little bit brainy, which is a whole 6/8, which is a great kind of groove, but using that as metric modulation and making a 6/8 sound like a 4/4. And there's a lot of stuff in there. There's a whole thing about when you actually have a drum recording. So from the engineering standpoint, a drum replacement and not using a plugin, but actually taking the bass drum track, analyzing it, having it spit out MIDI, and supplement that. Not completely replace it, but actually adding a little bit from a sample. Or for the snare, adding a little bit from a sample. We have that. And the last one is, that's the longest lesson. That's very interesting because it's taking a practice room recording, very bad, like cell phone recording from a band in a practice room, and analyzing it, time stretching it, putting it on the grid, learning it, putting it in the different parts, and then programming the whole drum performance from the actual drummer so that when the band comes in the studio, you have a layout. It might not be the final thing. The drummer might actually record it later on, but you have something to start building the session on. The most important thing, and I'm always sporting my Glenn is wrong mug, but Glenn isn't wrong when it comes to record real drums. If you have a great drummer and an engineer and the room and the kit and the mics.
Yep, that's a lot of ifs.
Record a real drummer. You might have an insane drummer, but a basement where you literally can't reach his arm up to hit the snare because the ceiling's too low. I mean, and how are you going to put up overheads in that room? It's a lot of ifs. Recording drums well depends on a lot of factors. And if you can do it, oh, please do it. But you might still have to program drums because to the point where you get to recording the drums in the studio, you might not have the chance to record them at all, which means up to that point, working on the album, what are you going to use? You're going to use program drums. Maybe the drummer programs them, maybe you, the drummer and the guitar player, the drummer and the producer, but someone is going to have to do some preliminary drumming. And that is also what this course is about. It's not about keeping it necessarily. It's about having something to build your session on.
So now just a little background here in case anybody who's wondering, Henning's not just a YouTube host. He has a background in music and arrangement and whatnot. You've done albums with James LaBrie, Sebastian Bach. Who else have you worked with?
Jody Ashworth, who did stuff for Trans-Siberian Orchestra. I did quite a bit of stuff with Michael Sadler, one of those Canucks from Saga.
Oh, okay.
I actually worked. It's interesting. It's the Canadians. James LaBrie, Canadian. Sebastian Bach, Canadian.
That's true.
Michael Sadler, Canadian. Most of the vocalists.
Sass Jordan was Canadian too.
Yes, I've worked with Sass Jordan, one of my favorite female vocalists. And on that album, I had Steve Walsh from Kansas singing. So primarily on my albums, I've worked with high-profile vocalists in the prog world, and I did the rest. I have we're trying to sell the course. I have a degree from Berklee College of Music in arranging and sound design. Arranging is what I do, and writing the drums is one part of the arrangement.
Okay, so just to bring you guys up to speed, this is a 15-hour course. This is probably the most in-depth course on programming drums you're ever going to come across. And if Henning's doing it, I guarantee he left no stone unturned. He is kind of thorough if you've ever watched his videos. I've never seen a guy do 40-minute videos on pedals before.
Well, I did. I mean, for
look,
you,
it's a distortion pedal with one knob. Let's do a 3-week episode on it.
Wait, what is the thing your viewers always say? Oh yeah, fuck you, Glenn. That's what they say.
So 15-hour course. Now, normally we'd have this going for $150, but we've got a special introductory rate for the next week and a half, and it's going to be going for only $99. So if you're at home programming drums, like I imagine quite a few of you are, I think you guys would want to jump on this and grab it now at the discounted rate while it's on sale. Anyway, Henning, thanks so much for dropping by. Sounds like a really cool course. And, for all you guys out there who are programming your drums and want to make them sound a little bit more realistic, a little bit better, this might be a very big help. So follow the link in the description below. Grab it on sale now while you can. Take it easy, Henning. See you later.
Thank you for selling my course, Glenn.